Welcome back. Well, today Audie and I are on the outs. I tried to switch over his cat food because he's been eating the same bargain basement brand that I used to put out for the strays. And this goes back to when Audie was a stray and he was simply stopping by the house for dinner until he moved in. So I thought, he's getting a little older, I should probably increase the quality of the cat food, make sure he's better nutrition, basically. So he humored me for about a month as I was mixing new cat food in with the old. But finally, a couple of days ago, he just put his foot down, or his paw, and he wasn't having it anymore. So he went out and he killed a mouse. Now he does that all the time, but he ate it right in front of me, as if to say, if you don't feed me what I want, I can take care of myself. So, you're not going to win. And I realized he's right. I am not going to win. So I've gone back to the old cat food, but he's still not really happy with me yet. It'll take a couple of days before he figures out that I'm not doing this to try to be mean to him. Well, he may never figure that out. But once he gets the old cat food back, I think he'll like me again. But meantime, no, I'm not his favorite person these days. So he is over on the other side of the room, hiding in a box, pretending he doesn't know me. So no Audie time today. However, when we get back, we are going to finish up with the last trip to the fancy schmancy antique mall I made. Well, I saw something interesting there. Didn't buy it, but I thought we would start off with this piece. So, have a look. We talk a lot about the pieces from Japan that were sent over specifically as export pieces. They ended up in 5 and dimes. And this is a set that is actually still in the original packaging. Notice, 98 cents. These were items that were meant to be brought over and sold very inexpensively. But I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing how they were originally packaged. I talk so much about Japanese import companies and the fact that in the mid-century, these things were everywhere, these wonderfully made little Japanese pieces, dirt cheap. Now, the item that I filmed, I don't think was mid-century. I think it was really a little later, probably late 60s maybe, could even be early 70s. But that is typical of how the Japanese import pieces were sold, and it's typical of the general price range. In the 50s, it probably would have been 50 cents. But I did want you to have an opportunity to see this because every 5 and dime store, Grant's, Woolworths, Kresge's, Ben Franklin, which I think is just New England, the shelves were full of things like this. You could really go in there, and with a $5 bill, you could pretty much decorate your whole home. But having the opportunity to film it, I thought I should take it. The next bit of footage, now that was in the basement, and I'm going to go back to the basement later, but the next bit of footage was up on the 2nd floor. So, and just because I am on the verge of leaving the 2nd floor completely empty-handed, we are naturally going back to my favorite 2nd floor booth. And one of my favorite pieces. Now there's a price tag there, and I don't think I'm going to be able to read it, but I will take a snapshot of it, blow it up, and get you the price on this at long last. Okay, $250. This is a nice set. It's, the pot is a chocolate pot. And you can tell because of that high spout. And we've got cream and sugar, 6 cups and saucers, Art Deco heaven. Whenever I go up to the second floor, I go through that lighting booth because those are almost all original vintage globes for lighting. And the overwhelming majority of them are in really good shape, mint shape, new old store stock. A few of them have slight indications of use, but given the fact that many of these date back 60, 70, 80 years, and of course light fixtures, it's remarkable that the condition is so good. So I love to go in there. And that is where I found that gorgeous Art Deco chocolate set. So when I saw it back in the case and a price, remember the first time we saw it, there was no price on it because I guess it had just come in and hadn't been priced out yet. So this time we got a price. Beautiful, beautiful set. I love the daylights out of it. I do not need a chocolate set, but I always say to myself every time I see that, it's like, oh, but no, I'm not taking it home with me, but it is wonderful. Next, I went over to a booth directly next door to that booth, and this was a series of bookcases. So take a look at this piece. Now let's take a look at this. This is a little Occupied Japan figurine. This is from Ukago, and Ukago did a great deal of importing into the U.S. In the mid-century. $16. It's just a cute little clown figurine, but it does go to show you that, 1, Occupied Japan pieces can still be very affordable. 2, they can also command a halfway decent price. Now, the reason I wanted you to take a look at this particular piece is because Occupied Japan is, it's very collectible, and it is both very expensive, relatively speaking, and very inexpensive at the same time. So let me explain that. You can easily pick up Occupied Japan pieces for $1 or $2. And you see me do that at Bedford all the time. Because it's Occupied Japan, it can go for a lot more. Now, the little clown figurine, very pretty piece of Occupied Japan, at $16, that's actually a pretty good price for it. I've seen pieces like that go for much more. Ordinarily, Occupied Japan figurines, depending on size, quality, all the factors that we would look at in pricing anything else, you're looking at a minimum of maybe $10, $12, going right up into the $50, $60 range. Not bad, considering the fact that if you shop carefully, you can pick them up for $1 or $2. So, worth noting. Next up, I went from the second floor up to the third floor. Well, yeah, big shock there. And I did find some things on the third floor. So let's take a look at this. We have 3 egg cups here. Staffordshire, Royal Staffordshire, and Delftsblau, which is German. The prices are $9, $16, and $4. Now this one is coming with me, and it's not just because it's the least expensive. It's because it actually has a gorgeous hand-painted look to it, and because it's blue and white, it's something that will go with Flow Blue China, with blue and white Canton pieces. I see this as the more versatile piece. Also, nothing against English china, but German china was every bit as good. Same booth, same bookcase even, we've got another nice German piece. This is a small creamer. Here's the egg cup so you can see for a size comparison. $4.75. So I think we have a dealer who prices German pieces a little on the low side. Well, hallelujah, because I buy German pieces when they're a little on the low side. So side by side we had 3 little egg cups, and the English pieces were priced much higher than the German piece. Go figure. German pieces are also usually priced higher than Japan pieces. I will never understand that. The English produced beautiful pieces of china. They did, no doubt about it. But so did the Germans, so did the Czechs, so did the Bavarians, and so did the Chinese and the Japanese. And in fact, the Chinese and Japanese were doing it, they were producing high quality porcelain for a much longer period of time. So, why people have decided that English porcelain is so la-la. French porcelain also, people usually charge high for that. And that's one I truly don't understand, because French porcelain, well, if you like it, you'll like it. But in general, we are not talking pieces that would objectively rival English pieces, Czech pieces, Austrian pieces. But the French pieces were generally a little more low quality. And by the way, that's a generalization. Some pieces were very fine. But I think there is a certain cachet to French porcelain, to English porcelain, that causes sellers to mark them up. If you are buying for resale, you have to figure that into your purchases too, because if there is a cachet to it, you can charge more for these pieces. But if you're buying for yourself, throw that out the window. Get the pieces you like. Get the high quality pieces. Definitely look carefully at the Asian pieces, because they're going to be your best deal. Absolutely look at the German, the Czech pieces too. They're going to be your next best deals. And save the English and the French pieces for last, because you will pay a higher price for porcelain that is comparable to the Asian or German pieces that you'll get at a better bargain. So just bear that in mind. If you want it for you, go for the quality. If you want it for resale, well, if somebody else is willing to pay that higher price for it, then sure, grab the items from France, from Germany, add the markup. Why not? But I did want to share that with you. I was very pleased to get the little German piece because, as I said when I was filming, blue and white pieces are more versatile. They are pieces that will go into all kinds of settings. They will go well with Chinese porcelain, with the blue cantonware or willowware. They will go wonderfully with flow blue. A great deal of blue and white china came out of England. So for me, a blue and white piece goes very high up in terms of what I'm willing to grab for resale, because there's a bigger market for it. The little creamer, again, I'm not sure. I love dealers like this. Once I figure out what their pricing strategy is, great. I know what to look for. I know where I'm going to get the good deals. So even though that creamer was small, it was very pretty, very elegant, and I was glad to get it. Next up, this is not a piece that's for sale. At least I couldn't find a price on it. Oh my, more's the pity. because this is just an incredible break front, probably from about the turn of the century. So let's take a look. This is a really nice looking piece of furniture. This is probably late 19th century. I can see Eastlake touches in the Victorian. We're going to go over and take a look. I've already checked it for a price tag, and my sense is this is part of the store stock because there's no price tag, so I'm thinking it's probably not for sale. So let's take a closer look anyway. See, we've got the applied carving. That little scroll work would have been a separate piece of wood applied. We have incised carvings on the drawers. What we don't have is a real Gothic sort of design. We have a very Art Nouveau design instead. This is just lovely. Obviously, it is a sideboard. We have candle stands on either side. That's what would have gone on those little shelves. A lot of people say they are display stands. No, they were specifically for candles, so you could actually see what you were doing. We have this wonderful detail on the top. Great piece. I would imagine the hardware is original. I could be mistaken about that, but my guess is it is. If it's not, it's really good repros. Now, I said that piece didn't have a lot of Eastlake in it, and I have to take that back, because when I was looking at the video, when I was editing this out, I noticed that it had a linen fold design up at the very top of the upper pediment area. Totally Gothic. So it has the applied decoration, the incised carving, the Gothic motifs. What it does not have is the turned spindles. Nevertheless, I cannot call it Eastlake because the major bits of decoration were just beautiful Art Nouveau. So, and this sort of thing happened when you had a number of styles out at the same time. Companies would use it like a Chinese menu. One from column A, one from column B. Let's put a little Eastlake here. Let's put a little Nouveau there. Let's see if we can throw in some straight up Victorian. It was a bastard piece. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nevertheless, I think they came up with a really, really impressive sideboard. And it's too bad that's not for sale because, as I say, impressive. But still, I thought you might like to take a look at it. One of the great things about Carlisle Antiques Mall is very often the pieces that stay in the shops that are used as their display racks, their storage pieces, are well worth looking at, and this is one such. Next up, still on the third floor, I went over to check out a nightstand, and I think someone must have made a mistake, so let's look at this. Well, this is 147, and it's described as a craftsman nightstand with cubby and drawer. And I think they have the wrong price put on this piece. It's clearly a mid-century modern piece, and we can tell, because we were just discussing this, those splayed legs, the sharp corners, the wood veneers, mid-century modern. And also, there's no cubby, so I think we just got a price tag put on us by mistake. So, that's not a craftsman piece. Craftsman pieces were what we often call mission. Very simple, turn-of-the-century oak. That piece was a good 50 years later, mid-century modern with displayed legs. In fact, that nightstand reminded me of artists' renderings of 1950s television sets. Not the real television sets, but when artists are redoing that that whole concept of a 1950s TV set, that tends to be what they make it look like. The sharp corners that are slightly curved on the inside, the splayed legs. All you need is rabbit ears, antenna. I'm sure someone put the wrong price on that. Not only because it's not Craftsman, but also there was no cubby. And that piece did say it was a nightstand with a cubby. Nevertheless, even though it was mismarked, that was a really nice piece of mid-century modern furniture. Really nice. And you can find small pieces like that everywhere. You can find them literally by the side of the road being thrown out for trash. So, if you see them, you grab them. There's a strong market for it. Next up, this is a local Pennsylvania piece. This is an interesting piece. It's a good size. We're probably looking at about 8 inches tall. Very nice. Gilded, very reminiscent of lusterware, although it's not. $14.99 from a local Pennsylvania company. Tempting, but I'm going to have to think about it. Now, I didn't go back for that piece. It was over my budget. I was tempted because, as you know, I left the antique mall with very little. It's like one small little bag of goodies. And I was, as I say, tempted to go back for the pieces I had seen and walked away from, but no. One of the things that struck me about that piece was the finish was rather reminiscent of old lusterware. It was not old lusterware, but there were similar aspects. I thought it was a good price for a nice quality vintage piece. It's vintage, not antique. I would estimate that was a piece from the 80s. It had that general sort of curvy look that was so popular in the 80s. And a local Pennsylvania piece. Also, the condition was wonderful. Usually when you see a basket, and that was a basket, it had a handle, and it's gilded, you see at least some wear on the handle. None. Very pretty little piece. Stayed behind. Next up, let's take a look at this. So we're down in the basement. $74.95. No, I'm sorry. Okay, start again. So we're down in the basement. $74.88. It's a set of 4 stacking refrigerator dishes, and here's the thing. When you get them out into the light, you can see they are pink. But while they are back here in the cupboard, sort of reflecting the wood from the bookcase, they actually look rather amber. That, by the way, for a set, now I haven't taken them all out and examined them because I'm not planning to purchase them. For a full set like this, $75 is a good price. They will not be coming home with me. I usually don't sell things that expensive in my Etsy shop. I try to keep my prices a lot lower so they're more affordable. But I have to say, if the condition is good, that's a bargain. So we went down to the basement, and I saw this set of refrigerator dishes. Now, I did not pull them out to take a look and see what the condition was, but it was pig depression glass, probably genuine depression glass, because refrigerator dishes were not made once you got out of the 1960s. You just didn't see them anymore. At that point, everybody was using old Cool Whip containers. Well, gee, if you're going to do it in style. Get the old refrigerator dishes. If they were, in fact, in good condition, no damage, $75 is a very, very good price for it, because it was a stacking set of 4. What caught my eye was initially I thought they were amber glass, and I had never seen amber glass refrigerator dishes, so I pulled them out to get a look at them outside of that bookcase. Turns out that was a good idea, because they were just bouncing the light off the interior of the bookcase, and the pink was looking a little ambery. Once I got it out in the light, I could see it was pink. Much more expensive than what we're used to, but nevertheless a good price. And I know a lot of you are really into these old refrigerator dishes, so I figured we would just take a look so that you could see what a nice set is going for. Not a bargain, although I have to tell you, I've seen refrigerator sets like that go for more. And because it's pink depression glass, that is the kind of set that might go for more. But still, at $75, if I were buying them for myself, I would be happy with that deal. Next up, same general area. In fact, I think it was the same booth. Let's take a look at this. $9.89, so we're going to call it $10. Salt and pepper Japan clams. And I'm thinking, what kind of Rhode Islander could I call myself if I didn't bring home clams? But because it's right on the cusp of my price limit, I've really got to think about it. Now this is another Japan set, very interesting, very unusual, but at $17.88, it's definitely over my price limit, and it's cats. So if it was a little less expensive, it would be in my bag. Yeah, clam and kitty salt and pepper shakers. I did not go back for them. I said I might, but they were right at the edge of my price limit. The clams were. The kitties were over my price limit. I didn't go back for them. The kitties, no, too far over my price limit. But the clams, who knows, maybe. You know, I'm not the only Rhode Islander out there. Maybe somebody else might take a shine to it. But I did end up leaving them behind. Nevertheless, because part of what I do when I go into the antique mall is I see about getting some film of things that are reasonably priced enough so that you could buy them, throw them into your eBay shop, your Etsy shop, whatever, and still turn a profit. So, yeah, basically wholesale prices. All right, I really had to rush through that because I wanted to finish up this trip to Fancy Schmancy Antique Mall. So now let's talk about the giveaways again. Still going on. I have, I believe I have still at least 40 items earmarked for the holiday giveaways. The wonderful ladies over on the Facebook page, let me show you them. They are Colleen, Lisa, Steffi, Karen, and they're running the giveaway through the Facebook page for me. Thank you so much, ladies. And they are very successful. We've already had a number of winners, so a number of prizes have already gone out this week. I want to make sure everything ends up getting into the hands of some lucky recipient before the end of the year, because the whole point of this is thank you for supporting the channel. It's holiday time, so let's just spread it around a little. All right, We're going to take a look at a slideshow on our way out. And in the meantime, have a terrific day. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.